Namaskar, Swagat hai aap sabhi ka. Welcome to the Embassy Weekly Online, and let's discuss what was going on this week in Russia and the world. Almost 20 years of the United States and NATO presence in Afghanistan have ended as their last military personnel had left the country this week. The long-standing problems of terrorism, drug trafficking, and the low living standard of the local population, in fact, have not been resolved. Much has only worsened. Foreign forces were unable to sustain a stable political system. The final chord of the military presence of the international coalition was another case of the civilians' casualties as a result of an American drone strike, which resulted in the collapse of a residential building and the death of 9 people, including 6 children. Russia strongly condemns this unproportional use of force. Together with that, we are greatly concerned about the growing socio-economic situation in the country, connected with the suspension of financial, material and technical assistance provided earlier by traditional donors from the Western states. There still remains uncertainty in terms of reopening the state institutions and banks. We call on the international community to take effective steps to prevent the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan. For our part, as it was stated by the Russian Foreign Minister's spokesperson Maria Zakharova, we are considering the possibility of delivering the Russian humanitarian aid in Kabul. Moreover, we would like to draw your attention to the recent interview of Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Igor Margulov to Россия Сегодня news agency, clearly exposing Moscow's stance on the situation in Afghanistan. In particular, he underlined that Moscow is not rushing to recognize a new government, but we hope that the parties involved will be able to reach an inclusive national reconciliation to meet the interests of all people in the country. The United Nations Security Council on August 30th passed a resolution on Afghanistan, with Russia has abstained. In his statement, the Russian permanent representative to the United Nations, Vasily Nebenza, stressed that we had to do that because the draft missed our principled concerns.
Firstly, despite the fact that the resolution was proposed against the backdrop of a terrible terrorist attack, the authors categorically refused to refer to a passage on the fight against terrorism containing internationally recognized terrorist organizations ISIL and the East Turkestan Islamic movement. We see this as a reluctance to acknowledge the obvious and a desire to divide terrorists into ours and theirs. That is to say, to downplay the terrorist threat coming from these groups. Secondly, during the negotiations, we underscored the unacceptability of the negative impacts of the evacuating qualified Afghan specialists on the Afghan economy. In the conditions of this brain drain, the country will not be able to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. These elements that are important for the Afghan people were not reflected in the text. Thirdly, the authors ignored our proposals to include in the document references to the harmful influence of the freezing of Afghan financial assets on the economic and humanitarian situation in the country, as well as the vital need to provide humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan strictly in accordance with the guiding principles of the UN enshrined in Resolution of the General Assembly 4682. Mr. President, we understand the reasons that incited the authors to try to use the authority of the Security Council to adopt the resolution in this form and in such a tight time frame. But perhaps if we'd had more time, the result of the vote would have been different.
In the mid-90s, Russia presented its vision of collective security in the Persian Gulf. Since then, our concept has been repeatedly refined in accordance with the situation in this strategically important region. Among the main principles of the concept, we traditionally single out universality, phasing and multilateralism as a way to ensure participation of all parties in adoption and implementation of decisions based on international law, respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity of states. By August this year, the Russian side, in coordination with its regional partners, completed work on updating the concept. Its new version is focused on adopting a long-term joint program to strengthen stability and security including confidence-building measures, creating mechanisms for resolving disputes and conflicts in the region. The full text you will find in the link below. On the 1st September, the Day of Knowledge was widely celebrated in Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin met pupils of schools and gymnasiums, while Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov addressed the Yevgeny Primakov Gymnasium and the MGMO University students. More details on that you will find in the links below. It was a special day at the Russian Embassy School as well, as not just because this is a traditionally joyful occasion, but because this year the school has started in a new special status. Earlier in May, it was decided to name the school after Alexander Kadakin, prominent Russian diplomat and former ambassador to India. No wonder that one of the key events was a lesson dedicated to his life and work in India. The Eastern Economic Forum has started on the 2nd September. Russian President Vladimir Putin took part in the plenary session on September 3rd.
After a forced hiatus due to the pandemic, Vladivostok once again hosts company executives, entrepreneurs, experts from dozens of countries of the world. Such wide representation, interest towards developing the Russian Far East, show that the economy is recovering, that it is going back to business as usual, and Russia is open for mutually beneficial partnerships with all the countries of the Asia-Pacific region. I would like to note that the APR, which accounts for a third of world GDP, has for many years been a driver of global economy. Everyone knows it very well. Rates of development shown by the countries of the region consistently surpass the global average. Russia, and here I would like to emphasize that it is natural, but I would like to underscore it. Yet again, Russia is an integral part of the APR, and we will be creating our Far Eastern regions a powerful center of attraction for investment and new economy. Create spaces of opportunity for citizens to implement their most daring business ideas. I would like to emphasize that despite the complicated situation caused by the pandemic and its economic consequences, we did not give up, but on the contrary, we sought to speed up the rates of implementation of long-term plans for developing the Far East. Over the last 60 years, the amount of accumulated direct foreign investment in the Far East almost doubled and reached $80 billion. The industry of the region over those years grew at a rate higher than the Russian average. The industrial growth amounted to 20%, which is the double of the national average.
Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi also addressed the forum with his greeting video message.
Namaskar. I am delighted to address the Eastern Economic Forum and thank President Putin for this honor. Friends, in Indian history and civilization, the word Sangam has a special meaning. It means confluence or coming together of rivers, people, or ideas. In my view, Vladivostok is truly a Sangam of Eurasia and the Pacific. I applaud President Putin's vision for the development of the Russian Far East. India will be a reliable partner for Russia in realizing this vision.
On September 3rd, an official ceremony of planting the trees of friendship and installation of a memorial monument was held at the premises of the Indian Army headquarters. Dedicated to the 76th anniversary of the end of World War II, the ceremony is intended to perpetuate the memory of the Soviet and Indian warriors who made a significant contribution to defeat the Nazism. The memorial will become a symbol of bond between generations, reminding our descendants of the great feat of the victorious nations and our historically strong friendship as a basis for the Russian-Indian special and privileged strategic partnership.
Welcome, and what an honor to meet you. My pleasure, my honor, sir, really. Thanks a lot. Really memorable event today, reflecting on our glorious past and future.
And what a day to celebrate. I think
Yes, sir.
our soldiers have done tremendously well.
On today's shape, the ambassador of Russia, Lieutenant General C.P. Mohanty, as we all know, RIASC, rendered commendable service in the Second World War and brought many laurels to the Corps. Amongst important tasks, convoys were undertaken over thousands of kilometers in difficult terrain and under extreme weather conditions to ensure delivery of critical supplies for erstwhile Soviet Union forces. Subedar N.R. Nikam and Jamidar Gajendra Singh were part of 51 General Purpose Transport Company of Royal Indian Army Service Corps.
Bilateral relations between India and Russia are firmly embedded through our historic links, shared trust, and mutually beneficial cooperation. The strategic partnership between both countries has withstood the test of time.
Pleasure to be with you today in this important celebration in our country's calendar. The end of World War II, the bloodiest one in the history of mankind. 76 years ago, the Hitler coalition was defeated with major military contribution and sacrifice of the Soviet Union.
By the Soviet ambassador at the Tehran embassy on behalf of leadership and devotion to duty, and contributed greatly to the high professional standards of his company on the aid to Russia route, awarded the Order of Red Star.
On behalf of Indian Army, with Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Russia to India, and we feel proud that our soldiers contributed towards the victory of Russians in the Second World War. And towards that end, we also express our sincere gratitude for everyone in Russia who have recognized their valor and having given them a award.
And open one more page in our friendship, in our especially privileged strategic partnership. And let these wonderful trees, how should I say it, reflect this future-oriented partnership aimed at peace, stability, security, and sustainable development.
So there's a lot evolving right now in the world situation. How do you see the friendship of India and Russia?
I see this friendship as one more guarantee of the peaceful and stable development of our countries, of our peoples, as well as a guarantee for peaceful development of the region and as a whole world. The main feature of our especially privileged strategic partnership is peaceful oriented, if I may say so.
Paralympic Games in Tokyo continued to attract our overall attention this week. Sportsmen from Russia and India demonstrated brilliant performance and encouraging will to win, with more and more medals coming every day. Wish them all the best, good luck for these final days of the Games. That would be all for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to stay tuned to our website and social media, and see you online.